Good morning, paras and volunteers. I am bringing you here today to look at social emotional learning, and we're just going to review some things that the paraprofessionals may already know, but volunteers may need to know, and then look at the details of how we will implement these strategies in the classroom. I want to begin with a short video here, and I am going to skip through parts because it's a little longer than what we have time for. But let's go ahead and take a look at what the CASEL website tells us.
Every day we have, different problems. Kids were teasing each other, talking about each other, that kind of thing. But now it has really calmed down. It's really calm where we don't do that. If somebody starts that teasing or that type of behavior, someone in the classroom would say, that's not respectful. Then it kind of just, without me even having to say anything, it stops.
When they come in at 3, they don't know where they are. They're crying. That first 2 or 3 weeks is just dealing with the crying and giving them the feeling that they're safe. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. How is everybody today? Raise your hand if you're happy. Raise your hand if you're really happy. So it's a lot of reading stories about feelings, talking about feelings like you saw today, just getting them comfortable with, it's okay if you're sad, it's okay if you're angry, let's talk about it, and just getting them to open up and to know that it's a safe place. So just, reading stories, we do lots of picture journaling. I'll come in and we'll do circle time, and I'll tell them how I feel, and sometimes, Miss Crump might not feel 100%, and I'll let them know that, but I always let them know that it's okay to feel a certain way, but when you act out, that's not okay. So let's see a way we can feel that way and not lash out at other people. And we will use our picture journal to illustrate and dictate today's feelings.
Kids come to school already with so many other issues. Even including adults as well, but they come to school with so many other issues. And I think teaching them how to manage those emotions, that, acting out because things aren't where they need to be at home doesn't change what I need to do here. And I tell them all the time that education is the best way to change that. I thank them and I respect them for getting me ready for the real life and how getting me ready for school, college, and everything else.
So that was just a little introduction to social emotional learning by CASEL. That's the Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning. And they have a website, actually, that they have a website that I am going to reference here a few times. But what they're going to break it down and into categories about, what parts of social emotional learning are important. But to summarize all of that, we just need to know that social emotional learning at its basic is learning to get along, learning to cooperate, work together, and resolve conflicts. So in the preschool classroom, that may be sharing, taking turns, asking for permission when you need to go to the bathroom, following directions. These are all important skills that they need to learn in this classroom. So, as I said before, CASEL, oh dear, bear with me. CASEL actually divides it all up into categories of the social emotional learning. And we're going to look at that now. Sorry about that. This is, these are the 5 categories that they have. Self-awareness and self-management are really focused on the self. Social awareness and relationship skills are learning to cooperate or communicate. And responsible decision making is really somewhere in between, because they're considering what's good for me and what's good for everyone else. So that is responsible decision making. The difference between self-awareness and self-management is that self-awareness is recognizing your own feelings and how they affect your own behavior. And self-management is dealing with those feelings, dealing with stress, dealing with a new situation. When we talk about social awareness, that's understanding social norms and how to deal with other people, and also having an understanding that we're all diverse, we're all different, and we can learn to get along and communicate with each other. Relationship skills is pretty basic. That's learning to develop relationships and maintain them, and that's communication, conflict resolution, and all of that. These are all from the CASEL website. Now, my classroom plan is to have an organized physical environment. I mean, purposefully organized. Use techniques and strategies and activities that all promote that healthy social emotional development in kids. So the physical environment means we're going to break it into zones. And a lot of teachers have different setups in their classes. The key, or most important part of this, is to make sure that you have spaces actually divided or spaced apart enough that they're not interfering with one another. And I think the use of bookcases to divide the class is great. And this way, we can have a quiet space where if a child is having a difficult time coping, they can go and sit, they can have some sensory items, and they can try to calm down. Sometimes children just need to have a minute to calm down in a quiet place that they know is designated just for that. You can have a place where kids can write, a place to read. You may have a special area with whiteboard, where the whiteboard is, where you can do activities with kids, or you can read a story on the whiteboard. And you may have a designated area for centers where kids can get creative and work on their own or with small groups. So these are things, dramatic play also, but these are things we need to consider. And you will notice in my class that things are really divided into areas, and we want to remember to let the kids kind of work in that space and not get too cluttered together. Supplies and materials. I think it's vital to have real tools for play. Kids love to mimic people that are older than them. And this is really the beginning of empathy, is learning to pretend to be someone else. So having those real tools and have raw materials for them to get creative with their pretend play or exploring things, and making sure there are sensory items in the quiet space. This is what we want to aim for when it comes to social emotional development. In the classroom, there will be some strategies we follow. And nearly all research will tell us that building relationships with kids is important. But I really love the way that Love and Logic says that we need to build relationships with children as a friendly authority figure. That means we don't want them to think that we are on their level, we're their buddies, and all of that. We want them to know that we're friendly, we care about their feelings. But we also need them to be supported by the fact that they know we're authorities, we're in charge, we're going to take care of any problems, they can come to us for help. When we teach these social emotional learning skills, we need to do it in routines. So this may be greetings, it may be when we walk in line, how we do that, we don't touch each other, or we may say, well, when we need to go to the bathroom, we always ask for permission. We ask if we need a toy that someone else has. We take turns. These are good routines to establish from the beginning. Modeling behavior is also important. We need to make sure that we are saying and doing the same thing. So when we ask people to be kind to one another, we need to make sure that we are also being kind. And this modeling behavior can apply to pretty much everything that we're doing in the classroom. We just need to respect the students like we want them to respect each other. Integrate small group instruction. When I talk about integrating small group instruction, we just mean we need to create opportunities for them to play together and work together so that we have kind of constructed this opportunity for them. And it's not just free play where they're choosing their own groups. And that forces them to learn to get along, and we can be there to support them. We need to encourage them to talk about feelings, which was addressed in the video, and we also need to give specific instructions for how to do those things and give them opportunities to practice it. When we're implementing these strategies, here are a few ideas that I plan to use, and that is to greet each child really warmly at the start of the day, encourage them to share their feelings when they have problems, and empathize with them, even if it seems like it's not a big deal. We want them to know that we care. We need to allow struggling children to have space, like I spoke about before. And one other idea that I have is to provide a feelings wheel. That would just be a circle with an arrow on it. And if they're struggling with saying how they are feeling, they can use that arrow to identify which smiley face or sad face or mad face is how they're feeling. And when we put them in small group activities, it's important that we don't interfere if we're not needed, but if we are needed, that we assist them to work through any conflict they may have or to help them solve a problem together. So here are some social emotional activities that I have. The emotion builder activities are from the ELSA support website, and they have a flip book. You'll see on number 1 here on the PowerPoint. A flip book where you can change the eyes and the face and flip through the book like that, or you can copy it and you can construct a face. You can have the children just construct a face based on how they feel. You could ask them to construct a face based on an emotion that you're specifically working on that day. There's a wide range of different activities you can do with that set. And I'm plan to use that this year. So there's also an emotion photo match, and you can do this with the children's pictures, or you can give them pictures of other people. But if you give them pictures of actual people feeling these emotions, and then they're learning to identify which one is surprised, which one is upset, which one is tired, and that really helps them to get those emotional those social emotional skills and be able to identify feelings on the face of someone else, not themselves. Dramatic play, we can always interact and try to support cooperative learning when we are doing that, and that is something that you should probably be doing every day. Just be there to support and help bring those play times into a little deeper thinking about social things. Interactive read louds are always good because children love stories. They can identify with the character. It's just a great way to get a themed activity going to teach them about emotions. And team building activities really encourage that cooperative play. And you'll see this picture of these boys down here doing some exploring, and they're having to share and take turns and work together, and that's great too at this age. And they may need some support from you, but that is how they learn, so you have to start small. These are websites and resources that I'm going to give you on a printout, and they just really give you some great ideas on how to talk to kids, what sorts of things we need to be thinking about when we're helping them solve problems, and the research based. So we have the Center on the Social Emotional Foundations of Early Learning up here. ELSA support, Love and Logic is great, CASEL I referenced several times, and then HighScope. And I want you to take some time over the next few days to just kind of get on those websites and check them out. There's lots of great videos and valuable resources. So thank you so much for coming today, and I hope you have a great weekend.